Hey everybody, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? The last 24 hours, it brought me to tears. And not because my allergies are acting up. I've been eating these all day and they're helping. They're helping. Happy spring to everybody. Happy spring. Today's the first day of spring. And I had a very long day. I didn't get any sleep. And then I had to drop my taxes off. And then I did 2 odd jobs, ate and passed out, and here I am. So I just really want to thank Paul for keeping me going for this month. He's a bona fide member for life on this channel. Just gonna put that one out there. I don't even have enough subscriptions to have memberships yet, but if and when I do, bona fide top ranking member for sure. Urantia. So I want to just thank everybody for supporting my channel and supporting the work that I am doing. I hope that no matter what book you listen to and get perspective on, whether it be the series, the Emerald Tablets, the Enuma Elish, the Anunnaki, the Great Agenda, they all tie in together. You might not think they do, but they do. So check the other content out because it all relates. All these books have common themes. They might not have the same perspective. They might have different opinions and varying things about who, what, where, when, why, but there's commonalities to a lot of them. And that's why I'm reading them. So I hope you continue to come and enjoy Urantia. This is going to be it's a big book. This is paper 8, The Infinite Spirit. Just want to get myself situated. The Infinite Spirit. Back in eternity, when the Universal Father's, quote, first, end quote, infinite and absolute thought finds in the Eternal Son such a perfect and adequate world for its divine expression, there ensues the supreme desire of both the thought God and the word God for a universal and infinite agent of mutual expression and combined action. In the dawn of eternity, both the Father and the Son become infinitely cognizant of their mutual interdependence, their eternal and absolute oneness, and therefore do they enter into an infinite and everlasting covenant of divine partnership. This never-ending compact is made for their execution of their united concepts throughout all the circle of eternity. And ever since the eternity event, the Father and the Son continue in this divine union. We are now face to face with the eternity origin of the infinite spirit, the third person of deity. The very instant that God the Father and God the Son conjointly conceive an identical and infinite action, the execution of absolute thought plan, that very moment, the infinite spirit springs full-fledgedly into existence. In thus reciting the order of the origin of the deities, I do so merely to enable you to think of their relationship. In reality, they are all three existent from eternity. They are existential. They are without beginning or ending of days. They are coordinate, supreme, ultimate, absolute, and infinite. They are and always have been and ever shall be. And they are three distinctly individualized but eternally associated persons: God the Father, God the Son, and God the Spirit. The God of action. In the eternity of the past, upon the personalization of infinite spirit, the divine personality cycle becomes perfect and complete. The God of action is existent, and the vast stage of space is set for the stupendous drama of creation, the universal adventure, the divine panorama of the eternal ages. The first act of the infinite spirit in the introspection and recognition of his divine parents, the Father, and the Mother, Son. He, the Spirit, unqualifiedly identifies both of them. He is fully cognizant of their separate personalities and infinite attributes, as well as their combined nature and unified function. Next, voluntarily, with transcendent willingness and inspiring spontaneity, the third person of deity, notwithstanding his equality with the first and second persons, pledges eternal loyalty to God the Father and acknowledges everlasting dependence upon God the Son. Inherent in the nature of this transaction and a mutual recognition of the personality independence of each and the executive union of all three, the cycle of eternity is established, the Paradise Trinity existent. The stage of universal space is set for the manifold and never-ending panorama of the creative unfolding of the purpose of the Universal Father. Through the personality of the Eternal Son, by the execution of the God of action, the executive agency for the reality performances of the Father-Son creative partnership. The God of action functions and the dead bolts of space are astir. 1 billion perfect spheres flash into existence. Prior to this hypothetical eternity moment, the space energies inherent in paradise are existent and potentially operative, but they have no actuality of being. Neither can physical gravity be measured except by the reaction of material realities to its incessant pull. There is no material universe, sorry guys, at this assumed eternal distinct moment, but the very instant that 1 billion worlds materialize, there is an evidence gravity sufficient and adequate to hold them in the everlasting grasp of paradise. There now flashes through the creation of the gods the second form of energy, and this outflowing spirit is instantly grasped by the spirit gravity of the eternal Son. Thus, the twofold gravity embraced universe is touched with the energy of infinity and immersed in the spirit of divinity. In this way is the soil of life prepared for the consciousness of mind, made manifest in the associated intelligence circuits of the infinite spirit. Upon these seeds of potential existence diffused throughout the central creation of the gods, the Father acts and creature personality appears. Then does the presence of the paradise deities fill all organized space and begin effectively to draw all things and beings paradise-ward. The infinite spirit eternalizes concurrently with the birth of the Havona worlds, this central universe being created by him and with him and in him in obedience to the combined concepts and united wills of the Father and the Son. The third person deitizes by this very act of conjoint creation, and he thus forever becomes the conjoint creator. These are the grand and awful times of the creative expansion of the Father and the Son by and in action of their conjoint associate and exclusive executive the third source and center. There exists no record of these stirring times. We have only the meager disclosures of the infinite spirit to substantiate these mighty transactions, and he merely verifies the fact that the central universe and all that pertains thereto eternalize simultaneously with his attainment of personality and conscious existence. In brief, the infinite spirit testifies that since he is eternal, so also is the central universe eternal. And this is the traditional starting point of the history of the universe of universes. Absolutely nothing is known, and no records are in existence regarding any event or transaction prior to the stupendous eruption of creative energy and administrative wisdom that crystallized the vast universe which exists and so exquisitely functions at the center of all things. Beyond this event lie the unsearchable transactions of eternity and the depths of infinity, absolute mystery. And we thus portray the sequential origin of the third source and center as interpretive condensations to the time-bound and space-conditioned mind of mortal creatures. The mind of man must have a starting point for the visualization of the universe history. And I've been directed to provide the technique of approach to the historic concept of eternity. In the material mind, consistency demands a first cause. Therefore, do we postulate the universal Father as the first source and the absolute center of all creation, at the same time instructing all creature mind that the Son and the Spirit are co-eternal with the Father in all phases of his universe history and in all realms of creative activity. And we do this without, in any sense, being disregardful of the reality and eternity of the Isle of Paradise and the unqualified universal and deity absolutes. It is enough of a reach of the material mind of the children of time to conceive of the Father in eternity. We know that any child can best relate himself to reality by first mastering the relationships of the child-parent situation, and that by enlarging this concept to embrace the family as a whole. Subsequently, the growing mind of the child will be able to adjust to the concept of family relations, to relationships of the community, the race and the world, and then to those of the universe and the super universe and even the universes. I'm going to put a pause here, and only because this is something that a lot of people are starting to notice in our here and the now. And again, I don't like to touch on politics when I'm reading such a book, but they are knocking down the mother, father, child dynamic in the world and its symbolism as well. And we need to get our children back to this last part. Okay, this is something that is now starting and has been lacking in a lot of family dynamics. No matter your race, your culture, your creed, it doesn't matter. It happens. And we really need to start as a community of like-minded individuals, as intellectual people, to realize what this book is just like pointing out. Able to adjust to the concept of family relations, to relationships of community. That's where a lot of the child relations lack, is the community. There are really good children out there that help their neighbors, that go out for the elderly and do extra things, and that's great. Not enough. The race and the world, and then to those of the universe. Our children are going to be our future. They're going into the Star Trek future. There's going to be more space travel within the next 20 years. There's going to be programs and things that these children need to get understanding now and concepts of these things now. So when they get older, they're desensitized to the fact that there is a lot more than they think. And there's a lot more out there than one reminds himself of. And this whole passage, especially the ending, we really need to get back to this parent and child dynamic and do better as a society. And I'm not talking about the older generations, I'm talking about the newer generations that might be watching this. My generation teeters depending where you are. Instead of putting your child in front of a device, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, maybe go do something nice for a neighbor. You know, if you know somebody's elderly and they can't do the shoveling, help them out. Stuff like that. Sorry, I had to say that because it's for me reading this and realizing and seeing what's happening in our world right now as it occurs. That's one thing I'm noticing with a lot of children. And even when I was in education, there are not as many empathetic children out there as you would think. There's a lot of kids who aren't about the community, who aren't about everybody. So let's do better, parents. And doesn't matter if you're not a parent. I'm not a parent, but I was an educator. And I instilled a lot of that stuff into children. Nature of the infinite spirit. The conjoined creator is from eternity and is holy and without qualification, one with the universal Father and the eternal Son. The infinite spirit reflects in perfection not only the nature of the Paradise Father, but also the nature of the original Son. The third source and center is known by numerous titles: the universal spirit, the supreme guide, the conjoint creator, the divine executive, the infinite mind, the spirit of spirits, the Paradise Mother Spirit, the conjoint actor, the final coordinator, the omnipresent spirit, the absolute intelligence, and the divine action. And on Urantia, he is sometimes confused with the cosmic mind. It is altogether proper to denominate the third person of deity the infinite spirit, for God is spirit. But material creatures who tend towards the error of viewing matter as basic reality and mind, together with spirit, as postulates rooted in matter, would better comprehend the third source and center if he were called the infinite reality, the universal organizer, or the personality coordinator. The infinite spirit as a universe revelation of divinity is unsearchable and utterly beyond human comprehension. To sense the absoluteness of the spirit, you need only contemplate the infinity of the universal Father and stand in awe of the eternity of the original Son. There is a mystery indeed in the person of the infinite spirit, but not so much as the Father and the Son. Of all aspects of the Father's nature, the conjoint creator most strikingly discloses his infinity. Even if the master universe eventually expands to infinity, the spirit presence, energy control, and mind potential of the conjoint actor will be found adequate to meet the demands of such a limitless creation. Though in every way sharing the perfection, the righteousness, and the love of the universal Father, the infinite spirit inclines towards the mercy attributes of the eternal Son, thus becoming the mercy minister of the paradise deities to the grand universe. Ever and always, universally and eternally, the spirit is a mercy minister. For, as the divine sons reveal the love of God, so the divine spirit depicts the mercy of God. It is not possible that the spirit could have more of goodness than the Father, since all goodness takes origin in the Father. But in the acts of the Spirit, we can better comprehend such goodness. The Father's faithfulness and the Son's consistency are made very real to the spirit beings and the material creatures of the spheres by loving ministry and ceaseless service of the personalities of the infinite Spirit. The conjoined Creator inherits all the Father's beauty of thought and character of truth, and the sublime traits of divinity are coordinated in the near supreme levels of cosmic mind, in subordination to the infinite and eternal wisdom of the unconditional, unconditioned, and limitless mind of the third source and center. Relation of the Spirit to the Father and the Son. As the eternal Son is the word expression of the first absolute and infinite thought of the universal Father, so the conjoined actor is the perfect execution of the first completed creative concept or plan for combined action by the Father-Son personality partnership of absolute thought word union. The third source and center eternalizes concurrently with the central or fiat creation, and only this central creation is eternal in existence among universes. Since the personalization of the third source and the first source, no more personality participates in universe creation. The universal Father delegates everything possible to his eternal Son. Likewise, does the eternal Son bestow all possible authority and power upon the conjoined Creator. The eternal Son and the conjoined Creator have, as partners and through their coordinate personalities, planned and fashioned every post-Havona universe which has been brought into existence. The Spirit sustains the same personal relation to the Son in all subsequent creation that the Son sustains to the Father in the first and central creation. A creator Son of the eternal Son of creative Spirit, of the infinite Spirit, created you and your universe. And while the Father in faithfulness upholds the which they have organized, it develops upon the universal Son and the universal Spirit to foster and sustain their work, as well as to minister to the creatures of their own making. The infinite Spirit is the effective agent of the all-loving Father and all-merciful Son for the execution of their conjoint project of drawing to themselves all truth-loving souls on all the worlds of time and space. The very instant the eternal Son accepted his Father's plan of perfection, attainment for the creatures of the universes, the moment the ascension project became a Father-Son plan, that instant the infinite Spirit became the conjoined administrator of the Father and the Son for the execution of their united and eternal purpose. And in doing so, the infinite Spirit pledged all his resources of divine presence and of spirit personalities to the Father and the Son. He has dedicated all to the stupendous plan of exalting surviving will creatures to the divine heights of the paradise perfection. Pause. This is the Great Awakening, and this is what exactly is what we are trying to obtain if you are trying to heighten your consciousness and expand your thinking and ascend. Back to the book. The eternal Son is the only avenue of approach to the universal Father, and the infinite Spirit is the only means of obtaining the eternal Son. Only by the patient ministry of the Spirit of the ascendant beings of time able to discover the Son. At the center of all things, the infinite Spirit is the first of the paradise deities, to be obtained by the ascending pilgrims. The third person enshrouds the second and the first persons, and therefore must always be first recognized by all who are candidates for presentation to the Son and his Father. And in many other ways does the Spirit equally represent and similarly serve the Father and the Son. The spirit of divine ministry. Paralleling the physical universe, wherein paradise gravity holds all things together, is the spiritual universe wherein the word of the Son interprets the thought of God and, when, quote, made flesh, end quote, demonstrates the loving mercy of the combined nature of the associated creators. But in and through all this material and spiritual creation, there is a vast stage whereon the infinite spirit and his spirit offspring show forth the combined mercy, patience, and everlasting affection of the divine parents towards the intelligent child of their cooperative devising and making. Everlasting ministry to mind is the essence of the Spirit's divine character, and all the spirit offspring of the conjoint actor partake of this desire to minister, this divine urge to service. God is love, the Son is mercy, the Spirit is ministry, the ministry of divine love and endless mercy to all intelligent creation. The Spirit is a personification of the Father's love and the Son's mercy. In him are they eternally united for universal service. The Spirit is love applied to the creature creation and the combined love of the Father and the Son. On Urantia, the infinite Spirit is known as an omnipresent influence, a universal presence, but in Havona, you shall know him as a personal presence of actual ministry. Here, the ministry of the Paradise Spirit is the exemplary and inspiring pattern for each of his coordinate spirits and subordinate personalities, ministering to the created beings on the worlds of time and in space. In this divine universe, the infinite Spirit fully participated in the 7 transcendental appearances of the eternal Son. Likewise, did he participate with the original Michael Son in the 7 bestowals upon the circuits of Havona, thereby becoming the sympathetic and understanding spirit minister to every pilgrim of time, traversing the perfect circles on high. I have a cat with a half a butt on the book. So I do apologize. On Urantia, the infinite spirit is known as the omnipresent influence, a universal presence, but in Havona you shall know him as a personal presence of actual ministry. Here, the ministry of the Paradise Spirit is the exemplary and inspiring pattern for each of his coordinate spirits and subordinate personalities, ministering to the created beings on the worlds of time and space. In this divine universe, an infinite spirit fully participated in the 7 transcendental appearances of the eternal Son. Likewise, did he participate with the original Michael Son in the 7 bestowals upon the circuits of Havona, thereby becoming the sympathetic and understanding spirit minister to every pilgrim of every traversing this perfect circles on high. I repeated that because it's important to hear. When a creator son of God accepts the creatorship charge of responsibility for a projected local universe, the personalities of the infinite spirit pledge themselves as the tireless ministers of the Michael Son when he goes forth on his mission of creative adventure, especially in the persons of the creator daughters, the local universe mother spirits. do we find the infinite spirits devoted to the task of fostering the ascension of the material creatures to higher and higher levels of spiritual attainment. See, we've been having to get the balance between feminine and masculine. And all this works of creature ministry is done in perfect harmony with the purposes and in close association with personalities of the creator sons of these local universes. As the Son of God are engaged in the gigantic task of revealing the Father's personality of love to a universe, so is the infinite spirit dedicated to the unending ministry of revealing the combined love of the Father and the Son to the individual minds of all the children of each universe. In these local creations, the Spirit does not come down to the material races in the likeness of mortal flesh, as do certain of the sons of God, but the infinite spirit and his coordinate spirits do downstep themselves, do joyfully undergo an amazing series of divinity attenuations until they appear as angels to stand by your side and guide you through the lowly paths of earthly existence. By this very diminishing series, the infinite spirit does actually, and as person, draw very near to every being of the animal origin spheres. And all this the spirit does without in the least invalidating his existence as the third person of deity at the center of all things. The conjoint creator is truly and forever the great ministering personality, the universe mercy minister. To comprehend the ministry of the Spirit, ponder the truth that he is the combined portrayal of the Father's unending love and of the Son's eternal mercy. The Spirit's ministry is not, however, restricted solely to the representation of the eternal Son and the universal Father. The infinite Spirit also possesses the power to minister to the creatures of the realm in his own name and right. The third person is of divine dignity and also bestows the universal ministry of mercy in his own behalf. As man learns more of the loving and tireless ministry of the lower orders of the creature family of the infinite spirit, he will all the more admire and adore the transcendent nature and matchless character of his combined action of the universal Father and the eternal Son. Indeed, is the Spirit the eyes of the Lord, which are ever over the righteous, and, quote, the divine ears which are ever open to their prayers. How to move big butt. The presence of God. The outstanding attribute of the infinite spirit is omnipresent. Throughout all the universe of universes, there is everywhere present this all-pervading spirit, which is akin to the presence of a universal and divine mind. Both the second person and the third person of deity are represented on all worlds by their ever-present spirits. Morgan loves this book, by the way. The Father is infinite and is therefore limited only by volition. In the bestowal of adjusters and in circumvent of personality, the Father acts alone, but in contact of the Father of the spirit forces with intelligent beings, he utilizes the spirit personalities of the eternal Son and infinite Spirit. He is at will spiritually present equally with the Son or with the conjoint actor. He is present with the Son and in the Spirit. The Father is most certainly everywhere present, and we discern his presence by and through any and all of these diverse but associated forces, influences, and presences. You have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. In your sacred writings, the term Spirit of God seems to be used interchangeably to designate both the infinite spirit on paradise and the creative spirit of your local universe. The Holy Spirit is the spiritual circuit of the creative daughter of the paradise infinite spirit. The Holy Spirit is a circuit indigenous to each local universe and is confined to the spiritual realm of the creation, but the infinite spirit is omnipresent. There are many spiritual influences, and they are all as one. Even the work of the thought adjusters, though independent of all other influences, invariably coincides with the spirit ministry of the combined influences of the infinite spirit and the local universe mother spirit. As these spiritual presences operate in the lives of Urantians, they cannot be segregated. In your minds and upon your souls, they function as one spirit, notwithstanding their diverse origins. And as this united spiritual ministration is experienced, it becomes to you the influence of the Supreme. Quote, who is ever able to keep you from failing and to present you blameless before your Father on high, end quote. Ever remember that the infinite spirit is the conjoint actor. Both the Father and the Son are functioning in and through him. He is present not only as himself, but also as the Father and as the Son and as the Father's Son. In recognition of this, and for many additional reasons, the spirit presence of the infinite spirit is often referred to as the Spirit of God. It would also be consistent to refer to the liaison of all spiritual ministry as the Spirit of God, for such a liaison is truly the union of spirits of God, the Father, God the Son, and God the Spirit, and God the sevenfold, even the Spirit of God the Supreme. Personality of the infinite spirit. Do not allow the widespread bestowal of the far-flung distribution of the third source and center to obscure or otherwise detract from the fact of his personality. The infinite spirit is a universe presence as eternal action, a cosmic power, a holy influence, and a universal mind. He is all of these and infinitely more, but he is also a true and divine personality. The infinite spirit is a complete and perfect personality, the divine equal and coordinate of the universal Father and the eternal Son. The conjoint creator is just as real and visible to the higher intelligences of the universes as are the Father and the Son. Indeed, more so, for it is the Spirit whom all ascenders must obtain before they may approach the Father through the Son. The infinite spirit, the third person of deity, is possessed of all the attributes which you associate with personality. The spirit is endowed with absolute mind, which you associate with personality. The spirit is endowed with absolute mind. Quote, the spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God, end quote. The spirit is endowed not only with the mind, but also with the will. In the bestowal of his gifts, it is recorded, quote, but all these works that one and the same spirit, dividing to every man severely and all he wills, end quote. Quote, the love of the spirit, end quote, is real, as also are his sorrows. Therefore, grieve not the Spirit of God. Whether we observe the infinite spirit of as paradise deity or as a local universe creative spirit, we find that the conjoined creator is not only the third source and center, but also a divine person. This divine personality also reacts to the universe as a person. The spirit speaks to you, quote, he who has an ear, let him hear what the spirit says, end quote. quote, the Spirit himself makes intercession for you, end quote. The Spirit exerts a direct and personal influence upon created beings. Quote, for as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God, end quote. Even though we behold the phenomenon of the ministry of the infinite Spirit to the remote worlds of the universe of universes, even though we envisage the same coordinating deity acting in and through the untold legions of the manifold beings who take origin in the third source and center, even though we recognize the omnipresence of the Spirit, nonetheless, we still affirm that this same third source and center is a person, the conjoint creator of all things, all beings, and all universes. And the administration of universes, the Father, Son, and Spirit are perfectly and eternally interassociated, though each is engaged in a personal ministry to all, and control which forever makes them one. In the person of the infinite Spirit, the Father and the Son are mutually present, always, and in unqualified perfection, for the Spirit is like the Father and like the Son, and also like the Father and the Son, they too are forever one. And thus concludes the infinite Spirit. I hope you enjoyed that. Next time, we are going to tackle relation of the infinite Spirit to the universe. Excited for that. I hope all of you enjoyed that. Sorry for the ranting, but sometimes I can't help myself. Sending each and every one of you love and light. Again, I want to thank Paul for his contribution and devotion to this channel. I hope to have other people do similar things. This is very important. Very soon, it's going to be go time. And a lot of the world and a lot of the paradigm is going to shift, and we need to come and bring it back to everything we're speaking about in this book. And if you don't resonate with it, that's fine. But whatever it's talking about in here, it's incoming. And we all need to hold some faith, love, and compassion for everybody in the days to come. Okay, I don't know when things are going to go down, but they're going down every day. But there's a particular event that will eventually happen. And I'm just trying to prepare all of you mentally for when that occurs. To be strong in your faith. Just stock up, stay home, and be safe as much as you can possibly do. Sending each and every one of you love and light. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I will be more active during the week. Hopefully I get more sleep. And I have a few errands during the middle of the week, but nothing too crazy. Bye, guys.